Hello, welcome back. It's not new to hear about another survey that shows how depressingly widespread violence against women is. What is new is research that tries to quantify the danger on a global scale. But a new report in the medical journal The Lancet is the first to take data from as many as 56 countries. And it comes up with this stark statistic. 1 in 14 women has been sexually assaulted by someone other than her partner. The level varies from country to country, with some of the highest figures, near 1 in 5 women, recorded in Central and Southern Africa. Figures from South Asia, on the other hand, are much lower, nearly 1 in 30, despite highly publicised rape cases in India recently. Well, with me now is Anber from Equality Now, which advocates for women's groups around women's rights around the world, and I'm also joined by Namita Prakash from Survivors Trust, which supports victims of sexual assault and rape. And welcome to you both. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. Just with that headline figure, first of all, Anber, does it shock you? 1 in 14?
Not at all. In fact, the shocking thing is that it probably is underestimated.
Why?
It's very difficult to get data on these type of crimes, in particular when we're looking at intimate partner crime, which often is underreported.
Yeah, I mean, presumably, you know, Namita, you work for the Survivors Trust. It varies from country to country whether it's in a state of peace or a state of war, because we've seen sexual violence be used almost as a way of prosecuting a war in so many conflicts.
Yes, totally. But the important fact is to understand that rape and sexual abuse happen in all the countries. And though it's underreported in some of the countries, like, as you mentioned, India and Bangladesh, but there are various reasons behind it. For example, cultural background, women internalizing rape and sexual abuse culture, police system, law. So there are lots of reasons behind why women are not coming forward and reporting. As Amber just said, it's not the real figure. We estimate it to be much higher than what's been projected.
Right. And has every country used the same methodology, kind of agreeing a definition of what constitutes sexual violence? Because, you know, different legal systems will define things in different ways.
Absolutely. It's not a universal definition. You have countries, for example, where there's no law against marital rape. Countries, for example, such as Pakistan, where they have no specific law against incest.
Yeah, so therefore the figures kind of not have to be taken with a pinch of salt, but that you have to give a certain health warnings over what the figures reveal, because you know, different countries will define things differently. Is that fair enough?
Not really, because if you're looking at, for example, India and Bangladesh, India and UK laws are quite similar, but still the amount of reporting in India is very different from what it is in UK. And the reason behind are manifold. For example, as I said earlier, cultural issues, how the system works there, whether women feel confident even enough to go and report it to the police, whether the cases go through the court system, whether there is conviction rate. So there are lots of reasons behind it, not just the law.
Do you find widespread variation between developed world and developing world, or is the problem kind of, you know, more or less, it doesn't matter which society you're in, the problem of sexual violence is the same? Amber?
I'd say it's a global issue, whether we're looking at Western countries which have the laws in place. However, if you look at the UK, for example, the rates of prosecution are extremely low. And then again, if you take that into a global context, where you have countries where they don't even have laws against certain forms of sexual violence, then the issue is further compounded.
Yeah, I think what Amber said is exactly correct.
Yeah, and so you get this statistic of 1 in 14. What can you do about it? What do you do? How do you use this statistic to change the debate, to change the way people behave?
I think changes are happening, and we need to send a clear message to governments around the world that violence against women is not acceptable and they must act on it. For example, we, along with our partners in Morocco, had been working for a number of years on getting the law changed against allowing rapists who marry their victims to not be punished. In January this year, the Moroccan government actually changed that law.
Namita, do you agree with Amber that the situation is improving?
Yes, it is, but I think a lot needs to be done, and it's...
Like what? Come on, what are the things that can be done to...
Yeah,
because it's such a shocking figure.
I think the most important thing is a cultural change that we need across the countries in all around the world. It's a culture that accepts rape and sexual abuse happening on women, and not just women, but men as well. And when we talk about rape and sexual abuse about women, we forget that men are...
Okay, this is a huge question, but
Yeah.
how do you get that cultural change?
It's to begin with, it would start from raising awareness and creating a catalyst in societies, and that could be done through voluntary sectors.
Okay, both of you, thank you very much indeed for being with us here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.